there was an interesting, the lot over here was interesting to go and run and play in. And one day I went over there and I looked down on the ground, and there were tiles that looked like kitchen floor tiles or something. They were like a green colored tile. And I saw parts of the concrete outline of what used to be a building. Well, when I got here, I didn't know that there was a building over there. And just exploring it, it was just so exciting to see these things and try to make the connection. And we were trying to guess, well, what was it? Why are these tiles over here? And lo and behold, later on, we came to find out that there was an actual building there. There's a building that had businesses inside of it. A dry cleaner was one, I believe, that was in there, and they had some other businesses that were there. Mm-hmm. And so it was just interesting to make that discovery. I kind of felt like an archaeologist for a moment.
Because of my husband, he was an oral historian, and at the barbershop, he was the one that had the fathers to come together. He had the ones who had migrated here from the South without a formal education. They would come and learn how to read. In the movement after Dr. Martin Luther King, of which we participated in, and the integration came, the changes came. With the changes, we lost all our schools. With the changes, we lost many of our businesses. I worked with Arthur Lewis Diggs, who has written written on the 40 predominantly African communities in Baltimore County. And when we did the research, we found that it was 8 times that money turned over in this community. So I look forward to being a part of that business ethics, because that's the way my mother had trained us. Turner Station has always been a place of commitment to work ethics, spiritual ethics, and moral ethics. So when after integration, that sort of dissipated.
And believe it or not, a lot of times your parents don't talk about what happened prior, because that was what things better for you than they had for themselves. But we didn't know until we got older. To our dad, he was the original Buffalo Soldier. Mm-hmm. And that, he was one of the first Black
you used to see combat in Europe.
Yeah,
he didn't really talk about it until like the last maybe 15, 20 years of his life. Mm-hmm. By that time, a lot of his, veteran soldiers, they all started getting together. Mm-hmm. And we started going to reunions. But unfortunately, every year, the reunion gets smaller. Mm-hmm. But there's some of the stories that they told us that we heard about. It wasn't in the history books, that's for sure. Nothing I learned in school, but unfortunately, but like I said, Dad didn't really talk about that when we were little, or even when we were teenagers. We didn't really find a lot about that. But we used to see his Army uniform. We used to wear it for Halloween costumes and stuff, like just put it on, because he kept it, but we never knew what all that stuff meant.
We didn't think ourselves as poor back then because we were enjoying life. Things changed because you got other people coming in, and you got others getting involved in things that they shouldn't be involved in. And you could have somebody living right next door to you, but you don't know who they are. And one of the things I always say is, if you're going to rent a property, you should know who you're renting the property to. Take in consideration who you're moving next door to somebody.
They were under under severe segregation from the mainstream, but they created everything that they were kept from or prevented from being able to utilize in-house, and they not only survived, but they thrived. As integration happened, the next generation wanting to do better and to experience different things, a lot of times they have gone on it and moved on.
We know nothing stays the same. They taught us that when you go on an interview, how to dress, comb your hair, how to speak, it was just so many basic things in life that you needed that children just aren't getting. When you talk to somebody, you look them in the face, you look them in the eye, and when you said something, that was your word. You stood on your word. And it was, I have to say it, these were Black teachers that we had, because it was during a time when the schools were segregated. And I think those Black teachers really wanted to make us the best that we could be. And then we would walk up to the high school, the white high school, Dundalk High School, and in the auditorium, they would have this Baltimore Symphony Orchestra would come down and they would play music for us. So even though it was segregated, we were still offered some of the things that the white students got. So I didn't think we missed too much. And actually, my community had everything that I needed. We had grocery stores, we had a post office, we had our schools, we had our churches. I thought, and you're gonna think this is funny, I thought Black race was the majority race, because the only people I actually saw, every once in a while we would have a white teacher would come in, the milkman, the bread man, they would deliver the milk and the bread. I'm talking about in the 60s and 50s, because I'm 75 right now. And they were the only white people that I saw. So I was really shocked when I found out. It was a shock when I found out that we were a minority. We're always, as a Black person, we're always fighting for social justice.